All right, to further unpack this, let's now welcome political analyst Mr. Sandile Swana. Sandile, it's always a great pleasure having you with us, so welcome. So today was the first virtual sitting of the committee that is looking, of course, into Mkhwanazi's allegations that started in earnest early today. In fact, I think they're still currently under proceedings, right? But under having finalized the terms of reference only last month, do give us your brief overview or summary of what has since come out of those proceedings at this stage.
I think the central issue, good afternoon to you and the viewers, the central issue has been the availability of Mkhwanazi, given that, had the commission stuck to its schedule, the Nhlanhla Commission, then probably some of these clashes would not be happening, because apparently somehow booked by the commission, which does not know its starting date, but it says it'll be available after the 24th, and the ad hoc committee wants it before the 22nd. So that has been the central issue. The other suggestions that he must be summoned and compelled to come and so on and so forth don't help much, because he has not demonstrated any hostility up until now.
Mm-hmm. You know what I find interesting, Sandile, is this committee had adopted the terms of reference, as I mentioned in my previous question, just a couple of weeks ago, right? And this is all taking place, Sandile, in the midst of that controversial move that also saw the 121 dockets that had to be returned to the provincial killings task team, drawing different reactions, I'm sure you've seen, even from the president. Please clarify the current impasse once again for us. Okay, so now it's been confirmed that the copies of the dockets were indeed provided to the commission, but confusion over whether or not this then means the ongoing investigations or even possible arrests should not commence until the finalization of the commission. Please explain to us in the simplest of terms, according to your understanding, sir.
Ordinarily, if the dockets were taken to the wrong office, let's say Sibia's office, in error, returning them to the correct investigators makes natural, logical sense. However, the state president has felt that those dockets, before they are returned to anybody, to the police, must be looked over by the Nhlanhla Commission. And this is what has astonished the nation. Mm-hmm. Because cases, whether there's a commission or no commission, cases under investigation, all of them must continue.
Mm-hmm. And that's just the issue there. Sandile, I'm sure you saw in our preceding clip there, the other matter that the committee can't get around is how they're going to work now around the statements being submitted at the committee. Should these also be handed to the Nhlanhla Commission? And also, what in the issue of witnesses as well? Are we basically going to see two different sets of proceedings here? Or basically this will be the initial phase with everything that is being captured here basically being handed over to the Nhlanhla Commission?
That would be an unfortunate development. We are hoping that this ad hoc committee will make final determinations and get its own decisions implemented. And I say it's unfortunate because Parliament has done exactly that in the past. They do an investigation and pass it to the Zondo Commission. And then, as you know, the thing is dead in the water as we speak today. So with the caliber of members who are there and who have previous experience, we are hopeful that they will be self-contained and follow the law as it stands, because they have full powers as the ad hoc committee to report back to Parliament and recommend implementation or an implementable way forward.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about those determinations and recommendations that this committee in Parliament could actually, impose on the said parties that are actually contained in the allegations, Sandile.
So the first thing, obviously, in terms of their oversight of the executive, mm-hmm. they would have to say something about whether the Minister Mkhulu has actually overstepped his authority and created a security risk for the nation and what the penalty should be. And then others obviously are also subject to other codes. For instance, Sibiya is subject to to the Police Act as well as the disciplinary code of the police. So they will make those recommendations. Parliament is not necessarily going to implement those. They are going to send their final findings and determinations to say to the executive, this is what you must implement. So we are clear. Some of those things are already in process. Sibiya is already suspended anyway in terms of the disciplinary code of the police. But for the sake of oversight and completeness, there must be a full record of the investigation and the determinations and instructions to the executive issued by Parliament as to what must be done.
And then, so what type of recommendations will the Nhlanhla Commission then, enforce when it comes to their sitting or wrapping up of their investigation and sitting, Sandile?
This is the problem that I saw from the beginning, to say this commission must not be called, must not be brought into place. A lot of these things can be handled by the SIU, some of them by the Hoc Committee, as is presently the case, some by the police themselves, some by the NPA, and so on, because we are not starting a new republic. We are very experienced in running scandals, if you want to call it, and misdemeanors and irregularities. So, and we have the mechanisms for dealing with that. So now this duplication of effort is typical of our president. Rather than strengthening the systems that are there, he sets up parallel structures.
Very interesting views indeed. You're leaving me even more confused there, Sandile. That is Mr. Sandile Swana, the political analyst, just weighing in as well on the committee in Parliament that is looking into Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's allegations. That virtual sitting is currently underway in Parliament.